Welcome everybody. We'll be getting started here real soon. Just give us a moment as we get everything organized and people start joining in. Thank you guys for joining in early. Just be patient. We'll be getting started in just a minute. All right, welcome ZetaChain. Let's do a mic check to make sure you're all good and go.
Mic check. 1, 2, 3. Hello.
Hey, how you doing? Loud and clear. You hear me not nice and clear also?
Yes, you sound
All
great.
right, good. I always want to make sure. I always double check that right in the beginning because it could always be a hassle communication back and forth. We want to make sure we get the right amount of information over in a clear, concise way, right?
For sure. Yeah,
All right.
we've been
All right.
experimenting more with Binance Square this past week, and it's pretty smooth.
You know what? I so far my experience been it's been pretty good. I actually like it, and I'm glad that there is someone in the taking the lead for the kind of marketing AMA side of things, really bringing the narrative out to the crypto. And there's no better place than Binance. Everybody knows Binance, so having someone that's reputable and then starting and building a good ecosystem for this is awesome. I'm definitely excited. This is actually my first one hosting, so I'm super excited to be here and do it. But I'm looking forward to many more.
For sure. Yeah, thanks for putting this together.
Most definitely. Thank you guys for having or for coming and having the community listen in on what you guys are building. I'm very familiar with ZetaChain, but obviously there's a lot of people that need to know more about what you guys are doing. And you guys have really come a long way, so I can't wait to dive into it. So, I don't want to waste too much time. Let's jump right into it. I'm just going to jump in with some opening statement, and then we'll jump into some questions, and then kind of just get the flow going from there. So, hello everyone, welcome today. We're diving into something of a game changer, ZetaChain, a revolutionary layer one blockchain built to unify the entire crypto ecosystem. Something that everybody's been talking about, but a lot of times when they say this, they leave out some of the biggest players out there. And today, these guys have built an ecosystem that's not only inclusive to all the standard chains out there, but also bringing BTC into the ecosystem, which I think is going to be a huge win for the community and for those people that are in the IRL Web 2 space to see some big changes and actually being developed into BTC, which where a lot of people are comfortable with. So I'm definitely glad that we're able to sit down and talk. But one thing, guys, before you guys we start off and before we kind of jump into this, make sure you guys, if you haven't already, voted for ZetaChain. Get in there, get your votes. If you're here supporting them in AMA, there's no reason why you can't give them some love and support them by giving them some votes. Other than that, though, it's going to be an exciting AMA, guys. So let's begin. So go ahead and give us an intro of yourself and a little bit about ZetaChain, and just kind of like a high level overview, and then give us a little bit of background on yourself and how you've been contributing to the mission and growth of the ZetaChain.
For sure. Yeah, thanks, Manuel, and thanks everyone for tuning in here in this pretty crazy market. Hopefully I can share some value and get you up to speed on what we're working on. I'm Jonathan Covey. I started the community at ZetaChain, and I actually started out in crypto in 2015 at what was like an early Ethereum dApp studio called Consensus. You know them today, having created Linea and some big projects in crypto. So I was helping with marketing and figuring out how to position Ethereum and crypto to the world. And it was really like the Wild West back then. Everything was a white paper. There weren't really many products. So I actually went then to Web 2 software and spent the first part of my career in HR technology. And we built the first freelance management system that was bought by ADP, a big Fortune 500 payroller. So that was a very corporate experience, and I was spending all of my nights and weekends in crypto because crypto is a whole lot more fun than corporate life. And I really believe that in crypto, especially if you're building open source projects like ZetaChain, you can just innovate so much faster, build faster. And so I wanted to find the right truly decentralized public project and was fascinated by the ZetaChain white paper. And timing was good, like 3 or 4 years ago, to start the community. So that's what I did, and we've made a lot of progress since then. We're 2 million community members around the world, so happy to get more into it today.
Yeah, I definitely will say back in 2015 to like about 2018 era when I was in it, because I was in it early too. It definitely felt like the Wild West, but it was a true gamble. Like people talk about have you gambled now, man. Back in the day, you had no idea if any investment was going to go on. It was so new and so early. So definitely excited to have someone else here that has kind of experienced that same level. Because those days it was weird. It was definitely scary. White paper, and you just had to pray. So it's definitely exciting to see
Yeah,
where blockchain has gotten to over like the last 10 years, 8 years or so. Now it's much more in depth. You got white papers, you got LinkedIn's and all this information you got to find about the people. And it's definitely grown to where it's a much more respectable thing. Yeah, there's always going to be that gamble side and it's going to be scary trying to enter into blockchain, but it's definitely developed into something that, is a staple as an investment wheel. So I'm definitely excited that you were able to find your niche in the ecosystem, just like I did. I used to be in the Web 2 space, and I came in and I was fascinated with Web 3 and just kind of full forced in it. So definitely have that same, incentive to be here and to see it grow and continually push it because there's nothing like the blockchain. Web 3 is definitely the future. So, well, with that being said, let's jump into my first question, and that's kind of seeing what the unique value of the ZetaChain is and where you guys position that. So ZetaChain has been, obviously gaining a lot of attention for its innovation and approach to interoperability, and really like fully interoperable is really neat, but also bringing in, BTC, which we'll be covering a little bit later, which is exciting. I've never been able to see that technology be able to kind of not just interoperable, but really have a finite communication because I know it's a big difference. I mean, I don't per se know because I'm not a developer, but I know talking to developers, getting a solution for BTC to bring it into the regular ecosystem was a focus, but it was a hard focus. So what it says in your words, what sets ZetaChain apart from other interoperability or cross-chain solutions currently in the blockchain space?
for sure. Yeah, and I'm no developer either, but I think like all of us, we go down the rabbit hole and get deep into the technology. So a lot of good learning. Yeah, like the background on ZetaChain, this is a Silicon Valley, US based project in development for 4 years now. Uh, and just like high level, we're talking about 2015. Like if you go back in time, Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency, an example of blockchain, and then came Ethereum with the smart contract capability. And since then, there's been an explosion of like thousands of blockchains with all different kinds of features like programming languages, privacy, speed, degrees of decentralization, and so on. And so this has been really great for the space because we as users, or if you're a developer, you have a lot of optionality, and there's a lot of innovation to leverage. The downside is that the crypto user experience is like a total mess, and there's a bunch of, if you've heard of wrapped tokens, like different versions of Bitcoin or ETH floating around the ecosystem, these patchy point-to-point bridges that try to make blockchains talk to each other. And so what's different about ZetaChain's approach is that it's the first L1 blockchain with built-in interoperability or built-in connections to all important chains. EVM chains like BNB chain we've supported since day one, but also the Solana ecosystem, Sui, Ton, and then of course something like Bitcoin, which is pretty differentiating. So why this matters: if you are a developer, you just deploy your app once on ZetaChain, and then you can access native assets and users on all other connected chains. And if you're a user like me, and it sounds like Manuel, you can access these apps from whatever chain you want, and you don't have to switch networks. So you can stay in your Binance Web3 wallet on BNB chain or Phantom on Solana, and now you can access all of crypto, and you don't have to deal with these risky wrapped tokens and manual bridging steps trying to make sure you have the right gas. So yeah, that's the approach of ZetaChain. It's a new L1 and development standard for building these interoperable apps that work everywhere.
Oh, that's actually exciting. I definitely will say. it was been a headache early on with trying to play with different chains, and no matter how good these bridges were, it was just so much extra steps, so much irritation, and then in the end, it's security risk, right? We all remember what 2 years ago the wormhole risk or hack that happened, and and so it really brings to the test of what you guys have been able to do by cleaning up a lot of that extra mud in the middle in order to facilitate a communication between different chains, even if they are built on, like you're saying, different language or have never really had that ability to communicate with other chains. So it's definitely exciting to see that, and allowing that without having that dummy token just puts out a lot of confusion for a lot of people. So definitely excited to see how you guys are actually operating. Like I haven't been able to really dive into you guys like I want to, but to see that you guys have definitely cleaned up a lot of that the middle stuff, the communication has to go through, all the extra steps you have to go to verify things, and then like saying you get a dummy token that represents a token. It's just so confusing for a lot of people, especially trying to explain that to a new user that wants to come on the chain. Like, yeah, you can get Ethereum, but like you're saying, you gotta do all this stuff and have multiple different gas fees on multiple different chains, and it could be either confusing and or frustrating when you go to a new chain and you don't have that gas, right? So I definitely see that you guys have been able to think about the user in from the very minute, simple version of what a person would be interacting with, but really made it at an advanced level without them having to even worry about a lot of that extra steps. So definitely exciting to see how you guys continually grow and scale from there. Um, but
And
yeah, no,
Manuel,
before we jump up, oh, go ahead.
yeah, just to chime in and react, like um, there's been a lot of innovation in the space in how we transfer value and send messages across chain. Like it's become less risky, and there are like burn and mint mechanisms that have solved some of those risk assumptions and stuff. So the space is evolving, and there's a lot of great builders out there. We think the next phase is like, how do you build an app from the start that works everywhere, not just for like sending value from BNB chain to someone on Sui, but have an app like a complex lending app, or uh, build any sort of logic that manages assets across different chains. And so that's like a more grander vision that we're focused on. And I'm sure we'll talk about some of the different use cases happening.
Most definitely, and I will say at any time if during the AMA you want to jump in like you did and bring more value or something pops up in your head, please interrupt me anytime, because ultimately I want the community to get every bit of information and what you guys are doing, and to make sure that they're excited and also voting, right? It's a big part of the ecosystem. And that's why I want to make sure that if you are just now tuning in, if you didn't hear me in the beginning and you have the time, and if you haven't already, please take the time, look at ZetaChain, see what they're building, and vote. Let them have a chance to be on Binance with everybody else over here. They deserve it, right? You guys have definitely built something very exciting, and I'd say what has been needed in the space, because interoperability has been talked about, but it's still very new on how the technology functions, and how simple it could be. But you guys obviously are taking a forward step to that and really looking how to, like I said, really facilitate the use in experience, right? Because ultimately it's retention, right? You want people to come in, not only see the ecosystem, but see how easy, efficient it is, and continue to use it from here on out. So I definitely encourage people to check out ZetaChain, even if you're not familiar with them. They have a huge ecosystem that you can check out, white papers, website, everything to get familiar with them. But if you definitely are excited as much as I am, please jump in there and vote with them. Give them support. You guys are here listening in. There's nothing better than having the community jump in and give them some massive support. So, well, oh, and I wanted to say that's exciting. You guys are from the United States. I'm also here in the United States. I'm in California, West Coast boy. So it's just really cool to see United States finally getting out there. And I know that crypto is going to be highly accepted over the years. So definitely going to be some big waves, big communities, and a lot of new technology, regulation and everything here in the United States. I think it's going to be exciting, and which then hopefully unlocks all those other locked regions once the United States takes the forward leap. So definitely exciting to see a United States company building out and bringing this type of technology to the blockchain. So with that being said, supporting the non-smart contract chains like we were talking about BTC, I think is like extremely impressive. So I wanted to kind of understand how you were able to get those features and the ability to integrate them into the non-contract chain like Bitcoin? And can you explain how you guys have been able to support these types of networks? Because I mean, that kind of just not only unlocks a lot for developers, but it also unlocks a lot for marketing to the Web 2 people. There's so many people that understand BTC as the safe place or that safe coin, but this is going to allow people to read a little bit more about what you guys are doing, and then utilize their assets to better grow into the financial system that is available to people like us that are veterans in here. But there's so many new people that are coming in. So just fascinating to see how you guys have been able to do that and the technology there.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm on the other coast, by the way, in Miami, but come up to SF, where our HQ is. You're welcome to swing by if you ever make it to SF.
That's funny.
Um,
I'm taking a trip to
so
SF
yeah,
in like a month, so I'm definitely gonna have to stop by because I'm here in Sacramento, so I'm like 2 hours away. Like I'm shoot, you know.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're connected. We have a super cool office. We've hosted events right at the top of the Salesforce Tower. So uh, yeah, like one of the ways we help B&B chain, we've done events in Presidio Park at House of Web3, and can continue to scale up B&B brand awareness in the West. And I have relationships with all the Ivy League universities. We just did a UPenn hackathon in Philly. So yeah. Anyway, non-smart contract chains. We support Bitcoin directly, and we can extend this to Dogecoin and Monero. And this is pretty unique because there's no other L1 solution that really gives you decentralized access to the real native asset, native Bitcoin. There are like Bitcoin L2s and interop solutions that say they give access to Bitcoin, but then you look under the hood and they're wrapping Bitcoin or introducing different dependency layers. So, like, to get under the hood of ZetaChain, there's a mechanism called a threshold signature scheme, a TSS, and this is able to hold and manage assets on connected chains like Bitcoin. And there are like 100 active validators on ZetaChain. There's a special subset of them that collectively hold a private key, and they can enable an app on ZetaChain to sign and initiate transactions on other chains like Bitcoin directly. So there's no need for wrap tokens or some sort of centralized approach. All of your smart contract logic lives on ZetaChain. Part of the reason why messaging protocols are not able to support Bitcoin directly is because you can't deploy a smart contract right on Bitcoin. It's not smart contract capable. So with ZetaChain, for the first time, you can bring real native Bitcoin liquidity together with native assets from other chains like Solana, Ton ecosystem, of course, BNB chain, and compose apps with all of crypto. So that unlocks a whole bunch of use cases like native Bitcoin-backed stablecoin or curve pools with actual native Bitcoin deposits. So that's a little bit how it works. And like why it's even important is that Bitcoin is like what 1.7 trillion in value today, and the largest, most durable crypto. It's getting adoption increasingly. We talked about U.S. Embracing crypto and governments around the world, and you can't historically do much with Bitcoin than just send it to your friends or buy and sell it. So we're bringing Bitcoin, the real native asset, into the broader DeFi world, including access to BNB chain users.
Yeah, most definitely. That's what I was saying. You're really bringing value to one of the biggest, assets in crypto, the biggest asset in crypto, but allowing it to actually function similar to what the other chains have been able to do is you utilize it for the growth of a project or investment will. I think that's a huge step that you guys are doing. And like you're saying, being a layer one and actually having it built out with that proper communication, but not actually having to wrap it or do all that kind of garbage in there makes it to where you're finite in a lot of the security issues that has been there. But it also allows people that only have BTC but still be able to interact with blockchain efficiently. I think that's a huge win. Like overall technology, I did not expect it to be, that far ahead. Like even 2 years ago when they were talking about interoperability, and then to see how far technology has really come into that. But then bringing in BTC, right? Everybody was just talking about the smart contract ecosystem, which has the high volume in the user base because of those smart contracts. But being able to actually bring the biggest native asset on chain without having to do all that mud in the middle in order, to facilitate trading, I think it's going to be a huge win for not only ZetaChain but the developers that are looking to develop and not want those barriers or have to build bridges in their ecosystem for people to facilitate. I think it's going to be a good explosion, especially over the next 6 months to a year as more and more people come into blockchain, and regulation hopefully sets in. So with that being said, we were talking a little bit about the ecosystem and use case, but we didn't dive into it. So can you share some of the exciting real world use cases notable to the project and currently building on, or notable projects building on ZetaChain, and how are they leveraging your omni-chain architect to solve problems or create unique experiences?
Yes, for sure. And yeah, there's so much to talk about. If you visit our profile on Binance Square, we have a more in-depth introduction for listeners that want to read more about all of this stuff. But yeah, use cases, universal. First of all, uh, VM contract layer. So just like building on Ethereum, you write your app in Solidity. Uh, uh, the added benefit we're talking about is that you can now access liquidity and users on all connected chains, and your app just lives on ZetaChain and uh, inherits access to new chains that we add in the future, like Dogecoin and stuff. So if you're building an app in crypto, why not build it universal or omni-chain from the start? Uh, uh, what will then happen is you have to deploy your app to Arbitrum and all of these other chains anyway, and there's a bunch of dev overhead. So yeah, what can you build? Uh, there's a simple like cross-chain DEX example. There's an app called Beam, so you can do native cross-chain swaps between any connected chain, native Bitcoin swap for BNB on BNB chain in one click, and the other way around. So that's a big use case. There's also a team called Amana building a universal yield aggregator. So you can deposit ETH on Ethereum, earn on BNB chain in a vault, like natively on BNB chain, and then withdraw those yield rewards to your address on Solana in your Phantom wallet. All of these workflows can be automated, and you can orchestrate all of these things across different chains. And then I think I mentioned earlier the idea of a native Bitcoin-backed stablecoin, and that's what BitSmiley team is building. So right from your Unisat wallet, or if you use a different Bitcoin wallet, you deposit your Bitcoin and you can mint BitUSD. And you can use BitUSD on Ethereum or BNB chain in lending apps, and this is the first native Bitcoin-backed stablecoin. So there's a lot of stuff in development and stuff that you can try out live on mainnet. You can use Bitcoin to buy NFTs on ZetaChain or BNB chain. That's a whole cool non-fungible opportunity. So yeah, there's a bunch happening every week. We just did a hackathon this past week, and someone built an auto rebalancer app. So you can rebalance your portfolio of native assets across Bitcoin, ETH, USDC on BNB chain. Maybe you have a meme coin on Ethereum, and in one click you can uh, get your target allocation. And someone built that in like 3 days.
No, most definitely. I think it's going to be exciting to see as developers start to see how much they can utilize the different assets with the omni-chain technology to really, like you're saying, really bring a whole nother level of technology, or technology that was been around but really wasn't mature enough to, or even have the technology that was mature enough to really make it a value proposition. But like you're saying, a rebalancer is actually an awesome, technology for what you guys already built, because like you're saying, all of that, all of that different stuff in the middle that you have to clean up to make your guys' ecosystem very efficient, just going to benefit these projects that are wanting to utilize multiple chains for the value asset. And one thing I wanted to point out is, the way you guys have been able to build it, it's in a way true deep liquidity, right? It doesn't allow you to be stuck in one system, but allows you to be able to function across different chains, but then still bring the value right into your guys' blockchain through whatever project that they're, or DApp that they're currently using. I think that's pretty exciting. And I'm definitely going to encourage people here that don't know about new projects jumping in their ecosystem to make sure you're following ZetaChain, start doing your research, but then in there, jump in the communities. You're going to see a lot of news coming out from a lot of new builders. And as the ecosystem grows, you guys always know the earlier you are, the better your value. So make sure you guys are doing your research, jumping in there, and also supporting ZetaChain. And like I said, make sure you guys are voting. A lot of this is in the hands of the votes of the community. So if you're liking and enjoying what they're saying and you really want to see them continue to grow and scale, voting is just one thing you can do to support them ultimately. But excuse me. But I encourage anybody here to at least get in there, start understanding what they're building, and see if this is something that you can utilize your assets to grow and scale from there in an efficient way. So there we go. That one thing that obviously is extremely important is obviously the user experience and understanding how to utilize these multi-chain dApps. So multi-chain dApps often face user experience challenges due to fragmentation, and obviously you guys are kind of streamlining that by improving its experience, with the way they interact with its said assets. But ultimately, having something that's built on a multi-chain could be very confusing. How you guys been able to actually facilitate that for these DApps to be able to come and utilize the multi-chain system to streamline user experience?
Yeah, for sure. So as I mentioned, ZetaChain is an L1 blockchain. So we're solving this with an L1 and approaching it at the application level. You hear like chain abstraction, this buzzword gets thrown around, and there are a lot of different players, and it's tough to understand how they're actually improving the cross-chain user experience. So you have like solutions that will abstract wallet addresses or gas costs, or they introduce a wrapped token. So again, ZetaChain is solving this at the app level. You build a universal app, which is like a fully interoperable smart contract that can access users and native assets on any chain. And then what's possible is a world where users can access that app and all of crypto wherever you are in Web3. So if you're on Binance Wallet on BNB chain, Phantom Wallet on Solana, Ton Wallet, Unisat on Bitcoin, ZetaChain's a blockchain, so you can connect to ZetaChain itself, your MetaMask wallet. Now you have access to assets and can trigger dApps and leverage opportunities everywhere across all chains. We're solving it with these interoperable smart contracts on ZetaChain. And the superpower of universal apps is that it has built-in cross-chain connections with all other blockchains. And even for developers, it takes the thinking out of it and standardizes how assets and data are moved to and from different chains. And then for a simpler user like me or folks listening, You could be anywhere in crypto. If you onboarded to Solana, well, now you can access all of DeFi from your Solana wallet. So you have to meet crypto users where they are. You can't force them to acquire different gas tokens or spin up a new wallet address and all of these different parameters. And ZetaChain provides that simpler experience.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask that because you did mention it earlier about the gas fee. So I don't need to have like a Zeta native coin for my gas fee. I can use whatever asset that I'm currently, having in my wallet, that like BTC or Binance, or Ethereum for the gas fee to initiate any of the transactions I need on ZetaChain.
Yeah, that's right. So you'd use your native uh, gas token BNB if you're on BNB chain, and you can initiate any sort of cross-chain transaction and use these apps. So in a sense, Zeta is like a universal gas token. But if you're on Binance, you're initiating that with BNB.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty awesome, because that literally is one of the hardest things to explain to somebody that comes into the blockchain is, oh yeah, you need this asset to facilitate this, but then you need this in order to pay for everything. And then a lot of times they end up spending too much and they don't have any gas and they don't understand. Then you got to re-educate them. So allowing someone to kind of understand that they can get a coin and just or tokens and just use that ecosystem for its gas fees is just going to eliminate a huge education barrier, I think, for a lot of people. Because I mean, I remember when like that we had the L2 season last year, where like so many are popping up. So much education had to go into, just like you're saying, bridging or going back and forth from a centralized exchange to get that certain asset in there, and because they needed that certain gas fee. I think eliminating just that little tiny issue, or that little roadblock, is going to be a way for you and for other users coming into crypto, that are going to see ZetaChain taking the lead with that, basically skipping the need for an extensive education on the like basic levels. Because even myself coming in to the degen world, in 2020 and 2019, like understanding the different little nuances became something that I had to kind of almost do a bunch to get like acquainted with that. Always have $5 to $10 or $100 left in gas fee for, especially for your Ethereum, because you're saying you don't want to be stuck when you want to sell or do a trade, but being able to eliminate that and facilitate on whatever person assets are, but still have that ability to interact with those DFs is going to be, I think, a sure win for you guys. And like I was saying, you guys can get all the attention you want and get a huge amount of people in, but it's not about just the attention. You want to make sure your retention's there, right? You want people coming back and utilize your ecosystem. So obviously the value is just apparent in that alone, from the basic user all the way to advanced users. Definitely exciting to see, how you guys continually grow and scale, and then obviously how developers are able to utilize that technology to then hopefully bring a much more unique technology to the blockchain, because it's growing. But like I remember utilities got kind of stagnant for a while, and it needs something like ZetaChain in order to kind of reinvigorate not only innovation but creativity on the already current utilities. So definitely exciting.
Yeah, manual. Like even for myself, like I've been around crypto. I'm not a developer, like super degen or anything. But there's no universal lending app on ZetaChain yet. Where Avalon Labs deployed on ZetaChain, but they haven't turned on the cross chain yet. So I wanted to deploy some stables in a lending pool and get some yield. So I went to the OG Aave app, and I'm like figuring out, okay, I have to bridge Ethereum, or I wanted to do it in the base market. So you have to bridge from ETH to base, the L2, and I used some bridge that they recommended, and it took a while from Ethereum. You're like waiting in the ether 20 minutes to see if your funds arrive. And then you do another step to deploy into the pool. And then if you want to move the money out of the base market, which I just did last week, it's like another few steps and then sending back to Ethereum. So again, when Avalon Labs or some other team creates a universal lending app, you could be on Ethereum base, ZetaChain, BNB chain, and do this all in one transaction from wherever. So I'm waiting for that personally.
No, for sure. We've always said this and throughout like history is time is money, right? And every time, the long as it takes you to do anything and the steps that you got to do to get the fees start to rack up. I remember the same thing. I was in that L2 season, just what everybody else jumping from Solana over to base, and Solana's level L1, but that's where I was at for a while. And then I was like, I want to check out these L2s that are not popping up. And base was one of them, and it was like you're saying, that in order to get those to go over there, you bridge and there's fees, and then the biting nails to see if it's even going to make it there. If you made sure you didn't type something wrong, or something gets lost in the ether halfway there, it's definitely happened to a few people, in the time. So just being able to, alleviate that pain, but also make it faster, efficient, and cheaper, I think is another huge win. Because like you're saying, you're in Ethereum, gas fee can be 15 to $50 sometimes, let alone having to bridge it so that you pay that gas fee and then you pay another gas fee, and then finally it gets over to the other side. And if you didn't have those assets, it's kind of stuck there waiting for you to get the gas fee for that. And it's just a mess. So definitely see that you guys saw that as an issue and really finite, and you made your blockchain finite and efficient for what you guys are trying to facilitate. A truly omni-chain and less of a headache chain overall. So because I remember early days, it was a headache just trying to learn that, and figure out that was the steps. But yeah, it's definitely exciting to see you guys be able to build something fully omni-chain, not just say it's omni-chain, but then there's still all these like back, because a lot of times they'll say, oh, it's just one transaction, but it's because they don't see in the background all the work that's being done, to make all these little side steps. But being able to kind of alleviate all that pain, have a fast single transaction that's efficient, is going to be what leads the pack, coming into the 2025 as a banger. That's for sure. I mean, I'm definitely excited. You guys are building some really, like, I'm not even as familiar in your technology as I should have been, because I know you guys. I've been around the ZetaChain ecosystem for a while, but I just kind of took a break from the blockchain over the last few months. But you guys have definitely been cooking and pushing, and it's definitely exciting to see what you guys have been able to get to. And obviously, the community is a huge important part, but developers are a huge part. So getting started with ZetaChain for like developers or users who are new to ZetaChain, what are the best ways for them to get started? Are there any specific tools, documentations, or platforms they should be checking out first before they fully commit themselves?
Yes, for sure. And someone in the chat asked, is ZetaChain built on Cosmos SDK? And it is a Cosmos-based chain. And the leader of developer experience at ZetaChain actually built Cosmos Tendermint, and he's just an absolute rock star. So our Zeta documentation you can find on ZetaChain.com. It's like really robust, tons of universal app examples, tutorials. We're building Universal Kit, which is like a bunch of front end products that you can literally take off the shelf and build a universal app in one day. I mentioned someone built like the Rebalancer cross-chain app. They used one of those examples, so makes the development experience super easy. And again, the ZetaChain's an EVM based, has an EVM smart contract layer. So just like building on Ethereum, it's the same development experience, except now your app is cross-chain. So check out the Zeta docs, and then we have a grant program to bootstrap your development. We're doing hackathons all over the world. Speaking of San Francisco, we just did like a crypto startup pitch competition at the Google offices. So we're collaborating with like ETH Denver and Vietnam Blockchain Week, all that good stuff, but also like big enterprises and even local developer meetups in India and Korea. We're sponsoring bounty tracks and stuff. So yeah, for anyone, you can follow our local ambassador channels. ZetaChain follows all of them, and we're doing monthly meetups. We translate all of our content in 15 languages. So yeah, for developers, tons of resources and opportunities. And then for users, check out Zeta Hub. This is like the entry point uh, uh, portal into the ZetaChain ecosystem where all of these apps that we're talking about are available, and you can try different quests and get free Zeta gas. And there's a feedback mechanism that helps developers, and there's a loyalty system and a whole bunch of stuff. There's 400,000 monthly active users in Zeta Hub. Um, I'll stop there. I'm blabbering.
No, that's good. No, you're definitely giving us some inside information on data points that people don't realize.
Yeah,
Using 2 million.
Manuel. Uh, yes, sorry to chime in again. Like, if by using these apps in Zeta Hub, you're becoming part of these early communities, and like there are going to be TGEs on ZetaChain, uh, and app developers are looking at your XP points in Zeta Hub as like a way to whitelist you for products and get you involved in their community, so that there's some alpha.
Most definitely. Hey, like I said earlier, guys, I encourage you guys to be doing your research and following them. But that was some alpha there that's going to be able to, really bring you into the early parts of the community and be a part of it, and then hopefully find your spot in something that that can bring value to your portfolio. But ultimately, you'll be then supporting these projects early, helping them grow and helping them, make their product kind of like polished for that type of release. And like you're saying, getting in early TGE projects, is always a win for those that are looking for new value, but also looking for a growing ecosystem. So that's actually exciting. And that's what I was actually going to say. I was like, if I'm a new user, where should I start? And so definitely make sure you guys are checking out that Zeta community hub, or project hub, so you guys can then jump in there and be a part of the conversation, help some of these guys grow and support them. But yeah, other than that, do you guys have any like active ambassador programs, referral programs, or any of the community campaigns on various sites or anything like that?
Yeah, bunch of stuff. Referral mechanism built into Zeta Hub, so you can level up your XP points by bringing in friends. Uh, there are built-in quests in Zeta Hub, but also we're doing learn to earn campaigns with like Coinbase is active right now. We just did one with Upbit in Korea. We hope to do the same with Binance in the future. Uh, what else? Um, oh, and then yeah, ambassador program. I started this 3 years ago. We had like 15 folks around the world, really just focused on translating content and making sure our message was getting out. But we have a lot more contributors now, and I mentioned we're doing events and a whole bunch of more strategic stuff to get the word out and build community in all of the major crypto markets: Korea, Vietnam, all the Chinese markets, Brazil, Argentina, uh, uh, Africa. So yeah, check out everyone that ZetaChain follows, and then you can find ambassador application and the events happening around your city.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I touched on some of the places for the users, because a lot of times users want to come in, but having a chain so big and the community so big already, it can be a little overwhelming. So make sure you guys are checking out their hub and getting in there. And like I said, there's so much there you can do, not just following projects, but there's activities and things that you can do to level your experience, which then in turn is just going to prove your support and have you as a legitimate Zeta member, Zeta community member, really pushing it. And like I said earlier, guys, I've said it twice already. I've even said it in the comments, but if you're excited as I am, make sure you guys are out there voting, voting, and voting. ZetaChain deserves to have a spot on Binance, and if you guys can be the one to support it and be helping get that, become the part of the future for them, it's going to be exciting, because then it's a rewarding part for yourself, right? Because if they're going to do well and you're already part of the ecosystem, then you're going to do well. So definitely love, how Binance has been able to not only have this Binance Square come up, but then obviously facilitate that voting system. So make sure you guys, if supporting ZetaChain, And then after that, make sure you guys are following them. Get in there, start reading, start getting connected with other communities and other developers, and seeing how you can be a part of the ecosystem, even if it's just supporting. Right? I tell people all the time that or we've been saying it for I don't know how many years in crypto, that community is everything. And lately, it's been more apparent than ever. We can go all to the Web2 marketing. We can throw billboards everywhere, and all that is garbage if you're not making sure you're focusing on the community that's going to continue to support and push it. So definitely encourage you guys to get in there, and especially in the hub, man. Like you said, there's so much value in there. It's not just a forum, but it's an actual place for you to be able to interact and also chance to earn, right? So, and also, if you are a Coinbase user, I do remember that. I think that's how I was familiar with you almost a year ago, because you guys had that up there a while back. And that's I think how I first found you guys, was through Coinbase. So if you guys are looking to get into the ecosystem but still a little hesitant, jump into the Coinbase, do their learn to earn ecosystem there, kind of get familiar with what they're doing, but then also just from that be rewarded in a little, so that you can then get into the ecosystem, basically for free, and see what kind of value in the technology there, and how it can be used to better your time in crypto. I know that as things grow and you guys continue to scale, it's going to be a no-brainer that you guys are going to have almost everybody utilizing your guys' ecosystem just for the technology alone. So that being said, staying connected is obviously an important thing. So where can people follow you guys? Where do you guys get the most updates? And where's your biggest community? Because I know that some people have moved and transitioned off of Telegram as their main community hub and into like Discord or other platforms. So just wanted to get kind of your idea on, or your take on where communities should be looking to get the most updated information and be able to join in on community events or other things that are going to enhance their.
Yes. Yeah, ZetaChain.com has everything. We're very, very active on Twitter, and in our bio, we have a Link3 page with all of the official links to the ambassador channels. As you guys know, some channels like Telegram are more popular in Korea or Chinese markets. Uh, uh, so we have leaders in all of these cities, and we'll meet you where you are. Uh, and then, yeah, we're new to Binance Square. I think we've done like 10 or 15 of these awesome sessions. This is one of the best ones, by the way, Manuel. You're a great host.
Thank you. Appreciate the
So,
compliment. I definitely try to do my best.
yeah. Yeah, we've done these in different languages. Ambassadors are running them. I think there's like a 5,000 follower limit for Binance Square. So you can find recordings on Twitter, and there's stuff happening today in like Indonesia and all these different places. But again, pinned to our profile in Binance Square is a ZetaChain introduction. And we talk about how we help grow the Binance ecosystem and share like latest metrics and partnerships with big enterprises, and our goals for the next 3 months, what chains we're integrating, what new apps we're going to launch with developers, and you can learn like all the nitty gritty details.
Yeah, no, I definitely encourage people here to not only follow the Zeta chain here on Binance Square, but jump on that website, like I said, ZetaChain.com, and get familiar with what they're building. Join that hub and really join in those early projects. I mean, there's a lot of room for growth there, and with that technology alone, you're going to see a mass migration of really cool utilities coming over. I could just definitely see that the value just in the technology alone, but then having a massive user base is also another win. 400,000, users, active users all the time is a huge win for any chain alone. So definitely encourage people that feel like feel like they're too late or anything, to just take the time and get in there and see. I bet you're going to feel as early as you possibly could, but then also being able to utilize their technology to facilitate, your trading and optimize your experience. I think is going to be the takeaway that you guys are really going to appreciate the most, because I know just in my experience alone, when I have a new project that I'm working with, or I hear about they're on this chain, and I'm like, damn, I don't got nothing over there. Then I got to do all this hoop a loop to get over there, and then sometimes by then the value is not there anymore. You're just like, I'm buying the top now. So definitely encourage people to start getting in that hub and be a part of the ecosystem, start learning a lot what they're building. I'm definitely fascinated. I can't wait to when this AMA ends. I'm going to be jumping back into ZetaChain, see how far you guys have gone, because it's literally been almost, I think, a year or so since I've really just interacted with your chain, which now I feel that I'm left behind. But now it's time for me to get into that hub, start seeing what you guys got going on, see what kind of projects they're building, and see if I can even facilitate some work out of there, because that's what I do in the ecosystem myself. Is I do a lot of marketing and advising. So it's just that alone is just get the value that I'm going to reach from it. So I encourage people now to at least get in there, see if there's some value they can bring to your day-to-day life, and then you never know what kind of community support you're gonna be a part of, what kind of opportunities you can have in the blockchain. All right. Well, we've kind of ran through most of my questions, my comments, and I definitely encourage everybody to make sure they're voting. If you guys haven't voted already, or if you guys are just tuning in towards the end here, please make sure you guys are voting for ZetaChain. I encourage you guys to at least do your research on them, and if it's something that you believe is something that deserves your vote, please don't waste your time and vote for them. But then while you're doing that, make sure, like I said, you're jumping into that hub. So that being said, did you want to round things out with a closing statement today to the community, kind of give them some their appetite's already been juicy with what you guys have built, but just close it out and a little value to them, and encourage people to come over there and see.
Yeah, for sure. We've talked a lot about technology today, so I guess this is my sales pitch. Like, we really appreciate your vote for Zeta. We're not buying votes or soliciting voters. Like, this is all organic support. We really value integrity, and we've done everything by the book since day one. But yeah, vote for Zeta helps us bring utility to the BNB ecosystem, access to native Bitcoin, and access to all of the other popular chains. We're already doing this. We supported BNB chain since day one. And yeah, vote for Zeta will help us accelerate what we're already doing. So yeah, I also want to thank everyone for listening, and I wish you great success in your Web3 journey and good health.
Yeah, it's definitely having a safe journey is one of those complex things in the ecosystem. But you guys have been able to really facilitate, I think, one of the big security risks in the blockchain, and is that dummy token, or that bridging ability. I think like I per se, even though bridging is cheaper, I still don't use bridges for the most part. I will send that to an exchange and swap it there and send it out. I am like old man style, because I don't like that. I don't like the extra fees, and then the chance that your crypto assets are gone. And so definitely like what you guys have been able to facilitate the omni chain without all of that extra transactional mud in the middle, allowing for a safe, efficient, and fast place to be able to interact with the DApps and or other projects that are building. So with that being said, man, it was a great AMA. Like I said, I encourage everybody here to jump into their website, start reading their white papers. And if you're not that kind of person that wants to dive into the white papers, you could always just jump in, see the type of things that they're building, or be a community member that supports. You never know what kind of ecosystem and or friends, or like I said, opportunity you have in the blockchain. But an early blockchain that's had a lot of early projects, technically not an early blockchain, but you've been around for a while, but one that's now taking the charge with the technology and being able to bring a lot of these DApps to your ecosystem on a fully like you can actually say fully omni-chain ecosystem is actually exciting. So on my behalf of the entire community, we extend obviously a sincere thank you for ZetaChain and the team for joining us today, showcasing the incredible innovation behind the ecosystem. Like, I can't even put my energy more across the Binance Square here without you guys realizing, like, this is some technology that has been talked about for probably 5 years and was released a few years ago, but it was just still a headache that I don't even use the current omni-chain or interoperable ecosystem, because it's not as efficient as just sending it to the exchange and back. It's easier for me. I don't know why. I'm just lazy. But now that I can find an ecosystem, then I don't have to worry about that, and I don't have to worry about the different gas fees. It's a huge win overall. Like the amount of gas fees you pay, and then the different transactions that has to go on in order to facilitate a trade, it's kind of what slowed down, I think, adoption for a lot of the Web2 users. So you guys have been able to kind of approach that in a whole different way to really bring truly omni-chain interoperability. So I definitely and being able to your support for non-smart contract ecosystem like BTC and others. That's another huge win because I've been hearing all of this. Oh, new blockchain for BTC come out, and where are they? I don't really see them coming out. I don't hear any news. But you guys have been able to say, we're not going to make a layer one specific for BTC, but we're going to be able to bring BTC in to the rest of the ecosystem, which I think is going to be an important player in the growth of blockchain because we pretty much segmented and like when we talk about fragmented, but we literally kicked out BTC from the ecosystem for so long, and I think it's well deserved for them to be able to come back, bring the value, and you guys have been able to facilitate the technology to do that. So, I definitely excited to see how the development is shaping for the future of your multi-chain DApp. So right after here, I'm going to be jumping into the hub, and I encourage everybody here that are listening to me to jump into the hub. Obviously, it's not financial advice. Do your own research, but this is a place you're going to be able to see, get understanding, get education, and then get exposure to what they're building or other developers are building on ZetaChain. So thank you. I really appreciate the time, and it was a fantastic AMA. And I'm going to take your word up on that. I'm going to be going out to San Francisco here soon. I want to come and see you guys, shake some hands in real life. I take some pictures that we can put them on some socials.
Let's absolutely do it, and let's sync again next quarter, and we'll share updates to your community.
Most definitely. Yeah, I definitely encourage you to kind of constantly keep communication with us. I always like to support those that are supporting the ecosystem and or that are safe for users' experience. Because it wasn't until almost a year ago that I actually started telling people that I know, friends and family, about certain projects. Because for a long time I was just scared that if I told them something, they'd come in and lose all their money and they blame me. And so, being able to uh, get the education to a person right, but then also have an ecosystem that's safe for them to interact with is a huge win. So I can't wait to continue our conversation over the year and see how you guys are going and keeping us updated. And then obviously, if you're always needing support by us, you guys need us to kind of help out in any ways, you always reach out. The community is always here for you. Yeah, good luck, ZetaChain, to the moon and beyond, bud.
Amazing. Thank you, and
Thank
cheers,
you.
everyone. Take care.
All right, everybody, make sure you guys are staying safe in the space. I appreciate you guys joining in. This was a fantastic AMA. This is actually my very first time on Binance Square, so I got to break my virginity on here. I love it. It was a great ecosystem. One last encouragement to you guys: make sure you guys are out there voting and understanding what ZetaChain is, supporting them, and seeing what kind of value you can bring to your portfolio while utilizing a fast, efficient ecosystem. So, thank you guys. You guys have a great day, and we'll talk.
Cheers. Thanks, everyone. Bye.